Okay, today we're going to we're actually going to do an install on a hat vent on our prop house. I just pulled out the tools that we'll need to actually do this job. The only thing I'm missing here is maybe a tube of Black Bull, Blackjack, several different products out there. It's roof cement. You'll probably have to re-glue your tabs down, because once you break that seal on your tabs of your shingle tabs, when you go to remove them shingles, they're not going to seal back down without something additional. So what I have here is a man's hammer right here. This is a framing hammer used for many things. If you happen to fall off a roof, you got the claw right there. You can slam that bad boy into the roof and keep a hold of it, and you may not fall off the roof. Carpenter's pencil, tape measure, speed square, an old crappy pair of tin snips. You don't want to use a good set. Jigsaw, you could use a sawzall. Mold tool belt. Old Faithful, I like to call it. I'm surprised the old jewel still fits. Like I say, videotaping does put a little weight right here in this region. Not so much anywhere else, but right here. And a good flat bar and some roofing nails. This is pretty much what you're going to need to complete this job, other than the hat vent or whatever type of vent. I laid this down here too because this could go on a knee wall. This is a louvered vent for like a gable end, or maybe a gable that has a knee wall in it. Some of you weatherization folks know all about this. That's a lot of times when I roll up to a house and I see this, I know you folks have been there. So let's get started on the install. Alright, we're going to use our knee wall attic up here at the prop house to try to demonstrate on how to find a location to install your hat vent the best you can. If you could bring the camera in here, Cole. You want to try to get the hat vent as high as you possibly can, but you still want the same size hole as what the hat vent has. I believe the one that we're using is an 8-inch hat vent or mushroom vent. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put a screw up high, and that's going to be the top portion of my hole. And the reason why I'm going to put a screw in here is so I could see the location from the exterior of the house. So now I got my screw. That's the location where I want the top of my hat vent. Not the top of the outside of the hat vent. That's going to be the top of my vent hole for my hat vent, or my mushroom vent. Alright, we got a screw in our knee wall. This is going to tell us the location as to where we want to put our hat vent. Now this particular vent has a direction on here, and it's to keep water out, but I don't know if you can see it, but it says top right on that, so it makes it pretty well idiot proof as to what direction it goes in. And what I like to do, just to keep things all in check, I like to measure from the side of my hole over to the edge of the vent. And I got like 3 inches, and from the top I got roughly 4 inches. Now you need to know the diameter of the actual vent size, and this one seems to be 8-inch. So that's how large our circle for our vent's going to be. The most important part of this, other than to flash it correctly, is to get your vent hole over top of the hole that you cut into your roof completely. Because the problem is that a lot of folks are doing, they'll cut their hole, and then you'll go into the attic and they'll only have this much of the hole because they didn't properly put their vent over the hole. So at the end of the day, they're probably not getting the correct amount of net-free venting, because they're blocking off part of their hole with their hat vent by installing it incorrectly, and that's why we're doing this video for you today. So got my screw. The way I do it, I just hang it there. Really no reason not to do it this way. Allows you to have two hands. Got my pencil. You can line up the side with the water channels on the shingle to get it straight. I like to take my pencil and get a rough diagram as to where this hat vent's going to be, and that'll tell me what shingles I need to remove. So I got my screw. We're going to leave this row of shingles. Our hat vent's going to come down, so I need to come up here. This is going to stay. We need to loosen up these glue tabs. Fortunately, this is in the prop house, so they're not sealed down. This row of shingles actually needs to be lifted so I can get the screws out of these shingles. Okay, we're going to pry up some of these shingles. I want to see where I need to take up this row of shingles and this row of shingles right here. So let's break this glue strip throughout the whole shingle. And we'll come up here, see where the nails are. And you want to do this gently. Sometimes, and a lot of times, your nails your shingle's going to pull right through your nail. You want to try to do it where you're not damaging the shingle. It may become cumbersome in a lot of these old roofs to actually find the same kind of shingle, and that's not saying how long the shingle has been on that roof, because a new shingle isn't going to match the old. It's going to be a little bit different color. So I'm just going to take these off where I can reuse the shingles. You may actually have to go above and loosen them up, because there's nails through the upper row. It is what it is. You just don't want to forget to put these nails back. just like that, we're able to get one shingle out, and I'm able to reuse this shingle. I've got my shingles removed. Right here's the hole where my screw came through. That's the very top of the hole in my hat vent. Now, or my mushroom vent, my vent. This particular vent that I'm using. This is 8 inches. It's totally okay to cut a square hole or a round hole, as long as your square hole does not exceed the flashing limits of this particular vent. Some people cut a square hole, some people cut a round hole. It just depends on what tool you have. I can cut a round hole with a circular saw. It don't matter to me. A lot of folks, it probably ain't the safest way to do that. But I know my vent is an 8-inch vent, and I know that's the top of it. So I'm going to come down 8 inches. I'm going to make me a pencil mark. In this particular case, you can actually pull down off the top of your shingle and mark it over here. So I had 6 1/4. So I can mark 6 1/4 here. I'm going to show you a couple different ways. That vent is 8 inches. So if I put 4 inches on my pencil mark up here on the wood, I can mark the end of my tape and then 8 inches over here. Now I got 8 inches right here. This is the top. I got 8 inches coming down. Your pencil mark on your shingle is going to be a little bit more difficult. But you can get the square. You come right here, lay your square right on top of the shingle, or you can go to the shingle above. I'll turn it around this way. You can mark your 8 inch here. You can come over here and do the same thing. These shingles really eat up your pencils, so make sure that you got a good pencil. And on the top, you can do the same thing. Put this side of your square on your pencil mark. Run it up to your line. And get your top line. Do the same over here. And even the same on the bottom. My bottom line's here. I'm going to put this side of my square over here. I'm going to draw a pencil line. So now I got an 8-inch square. Something else I can do, if I wanted to draw a circle, I can come down here, mark 4 inches. I can come over off this point and mark 4 inches. That's going to be the center of my hole. You take your nail, drive it in the center. I want to get real fancy with it. I have to sharpen my pencil up again. You can hook your tape measure on here and keep your pencil at 4 inches. And draw your circle. And pull your nail. Now what I do in this particular situation, because I find it easier, I got an old pair of tin snips. Old junky pair of snips is what and you probably have an old junky pair sitting on your truck. I come in here, I like to use these, and I'll just chop up this shingle right here. Clean that up just a pinch. That way you get your full 8 inches. It's a little thicker here because you're going through 2 layers of shingles. Right on. Cut my hole out now. Maybe you don't always have a jigsaw. Like I say, you can use a sawzall. You can actually even cut a square hole in here as long as you had enough flashing material on your vent to make sure that it's watertight. And there's my hole. I've got my hole cut in here. I got my vent. Remember them pencil lines that I put on here before? I got one right here. I've got them transferred right here. I got the bottom of my vent right here and the other side right here. And that's going to help me keep that hole here in line with that hole there. So I'm going to slide this up where I can see through here and see that the top of my vent is there. I need to move it over just a pinch, and the bottom of my vent is here, and this side's on the line. And everything looks really square. So now I'm going to secure my vent. Use some of these nails that I had taken out. Okay, got my hat vent in place. I got it all on my marks to make sure that I got it on my hole, or right over top of my hole. I got that mark down here and the mark on the side and the mark on this side. And here's the tricky part. On an old roof, these shingles are going to be extremely brittle. So you're just going to have to be very careful. But you're going to have to flip that shingle up enough to where you can swat your hammer and get a nail up high. You're just going to have to practice with it. I wished I could say that it's going to be super easy, but that will not be the case, I promise you. One thing that may help you out is to possibly drill a pilot hole through the sheet metal on your vent. That way you're not trying to beat it through the metal and trying to beat it through the wood, because I can see these being swollen and discolored by the time you're done.
Good.
I got my hat bent in, or nailed. You really want to use a minimal amount of nails on this, because you got to think for every time you pop a hole in that, that's a potential for a leak. So now I got to reinstall the shingles that I had taken out. And this is a little bit difficult because you have to lift the tabs of the other shingles to get your nails in there. But how you mark what you need to cut out of the shingles to put them back for this vent is, if you can see this, I have my shingle that I'm going to install in this particular line. I got it up high. I got it up above the vent. This is actually where the shingle is going to lay when it is in place. I just have it up above. It's going to butt this end, it's going to butt up to this. This end is going to butt up to here. So I have it in the proper place. I'm simply going to take a pencil and mark this side and mark that side. And then you can go down and run it with your other shingle and mark what you need to cut out of the top of it right here. So now I got a mark right here, got a mark here, and a mark here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tape measure and I'm going to measure up to that mark to the bottom of my shingle, and I have 5 3/4 inches. So right here I'm going to come up and I'm going to mark 5 3/4 inches.
Give her hell, Dave.
And like I say, this is a little difficult sometimes on a roof. But let's mark 5 3/4 inches on here as well. And you can take your speed square, simply lay on here, and make your lines. And you'll want to make that top line as well. 5 3/4 inches. Five and 3/4 inches. And then remember, I like to use these snips. Snips might just be your best friend. Don't go using your buddy's good pair of snips, because you guys may not be good buddies by the time it's all said and done. And I always like to end my cut at my top line, like way I can just bring her right on across. You may want to score this a couple times, and you'll want to cut it from the back side. Because it's just easier and then you need like 5 hands to get this up to the desired location, such as that. So we have that row of shingles installed. I would not advise putting any nails in anything yet, because this row of shingles, if you nail this, it's going to make it very difficult to put this other shingle in, because your nail is going to stop this from being able to go all the way up. So now we need to get our other shingle. I grabbed my other shingle, and this is how you want to mark this one. Be a little bit of a gap between the water channels, but right now I got it in place. So I'm going to mark it right here. I'm going to mark it right here. And there again, we'll bring that shingle over. And I'm going to mark the top of it, where it needs to come across. Now I have my mark up top. And I can't see my marks here anymore. Yeah, I see them right here. Right here's one. And right here. It's going to be a little difficult. What I'm going to do while I got my eye on them, make me mark right here. And I can certainly see that one. Okay. And that little mark that I made here, that's what we're going to leave in. About 1.5 inches. So I'm going to come down 1.5 inches. Come down 1.5 inches. Get a little mark in the center. And connect the dots. And mind you, you can always put your square on this line. Make sure that you're square. Your speed square is your print. So this is the portion that we're going to cut out. I got my second shingle cut, the one that y'all seen me mark. I actually took it down on the bench. These shingles are quite old and brittly, just like what I was saying. I had a little bit of difficulty trying to get this underneath the other shingle. So it goes without saying when I told you not to nail the other shingle, I went ahead and pulled it out. That might be the way that you want to deal with this, because like I say, these shingles are going to be really brittle. And short of saying a bunch of cuss words on camera, I went ahead and took the time and took the additional shingle out there. But it now allows me to nail these. And I'm just putting them back in the same hole. What you do not want to do, you do not want to get nails in this over here. You'll want to nail this half vent right down here at the bottom and put some sort of silicone caulking over top of it. But like I told you earlier, the more nails that you put in this, the more potential for a leak. But you want to make sure that you nail this shingle down completely, which is going to mean flopping more shingles up. Yep. You want to get your shingle nail to lay flat. Want to make sure that your tabs line up. Now, I've got my shingle nail. You may have to come back with some black bull or some sort of roofing tar, because now you broke this seal. You may have to come through and seal this, and even run maybe a bead of roofing cement right along the edge of this. Now, try to put my upper shingle in. And like I said, you need about 5 hands when you only have 2. Finagle this bad boy up in there. Try not to say any curse words at the same time. Run it up. I like to cut them a little tight, not too tight, because they do have the potential to shrink at a later date. So now I have my shingle in place. Come up here. Try not to whack my finger. And you want to nail these in all the proper locations. Like I say, you may need to add some roofing cement. You can get it in a tube of caulking type. Just run you a nice bead up underneath here. Them are not nail pops. That's just from where the shingles aren't used to being up. Make sure that I got the ends of them nailed. The very last thing that you want to do, and like I was telling you earlier, if you don't like busted fingers, you may want pre-drill these. Make sure that your nails lay flat, not at an angle. It's not always going to be the best way, or the easiest way I should say, to do it. It's going to be difficult. You're going to break shingles. Do the best you can. Carry you a tube of roofing cement with you. Seal these down when you're done, because once that seal's broke, they may not seal back again. And you do not want to forget to seal your nail heads down here at the bottom. Now, by all rights, This hat vent has 4 nails in it holding it in here, but it's in there and it's on the right direction. It's watertight. It's a really good install. Now let's go into the knee wall attic and see how much of our hole that we covered, if we got good coverage on our hole. Okay, we're up here in our attic. We want to see how well we installed that hat vent. Cole's going to point the camera up in there, and I think it looks pretty good. That is a pretty good hat vent install right there. It's pretty well the exact same size as the hat vent hole.